Donald Trump has tried everything possible to avoid his Jeffrey Epstein scandal, but it has all backfired. Of course, he started by telling Pam Bondi to say, we don't even need to think about Epstein, just move on. But it didn't work, so Donald Trump moved to lying. That's not my signature in his birthday book. I wasn't even friends with the guy. It was all proven false. So what is Donald Trump doing now? Quite literally running away on a state visit to the UK, where his Epstein scandal has not only followed him, but blown up in his face in the worst and biggest way yet. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into how Donald Trump's state visit has backfired so badly and why he is being rushed away, I want to start with the latest updates on how Donald Trump's Jeffrey Epstein scandal is being brought into new light. And that happened today with Adam Schiff and, of course, Kash Patel, who has screwed himself, and Schiff talked more. I would not be surprised to see Donald Trump over the next 48 hours, or maybe when he gets back from a visit, which you will see has already gone so poorly, to maybe throw Kash Patel's head on the chopping block, not only because he is one of the most incompetent, I don't want to say most, because we still have Pete Hegseth around, Tulsi Gabbard, we can never forget about RFK Jr., all of these dumbasses in the administration somehow pale in comparison to the last week of idiocy from Kash Patel. It is just disgusting to see the actions from this administration. People who want to force us to care about Charlie Kirk but can't care enough to actually do their jobs. It's idiotic. It is ridiculous. It is embarrassing, but not as embarrassing as what just happened to Donald Trump in the UK. He didn't like it a lot. He was rushed over there to avoid Epstein. I'm sure he's going to be rushed away. It's just too delicious. It's exactly what we need right now. I've been having just one hell of a day, and I can't tell you the smile that this brought to my face, thinking of Donald Trump so excited to stay at little Donnie's castle, and it's all ruined. And he leaves the U.S. just as Kash Patel is getting skewered in front of Congress, and now he has to literally, physically confront the reality of Epstein one more time. I'm sure it's driving him crazy, but I think this is more important than just the Epstein protest and getting Donald Trump upset. It represents what we need now more than ever in this country, which is peaceful protest. People exercising their First Amendment rights. What this administration claimed that Charlie Kirk was all about, that's not true. Charlie Kirk didn't actually care about free speech. He just wanted to attack the intelligence of black women for profit. That's what Charlie Kirk really cared about. He wasn't some champion of civil rights. But what this administration is doing right now is cracking down on the same First Amendment rights they claim to protect.
Donald Trump, who's currently in the UK, just got trolled by protesters there who projected photos of him and Jeffrey Epstein together on Windsor Castle. Just take a look.
On that tower, we see that tower behind me there, Tom, currently white. Just a few moments ago, protesters, anti-Trump protesters from the hotel opposite, we think, managed to project some images on there. And what were they of? As you can probably see from some of these pictures, Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, and Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, that could not be a little more tricky and difficult just moments after Donald Trump arrived here. So, yeah, you couldn't really call it a security breach necessarily, but in terms of the diplomacy and laying on the charm, I'd say that was a bit of a massive failure. Let's just talk about tomorrow then, when they hope to put that kind of thing behind them.
I love that. And let's just remember that in the midst of all this crazy news in the past week, the Trump administration has still not released the Epstein files. They haven't even gotten closer to doing it. And just last week, on the same day that Charlie Kirk was shot, the Republicans in the Senate voted against a measure that would have compelled the DOJ to release all the files within 30 days. So point is, we got to keep the pressure on, and the protesters in the United Kingdom are doing just that.
We have some news right now. Donald Trump was welcomed to the United Kingdom for a state visit with a protest in a pretty interesting form. 4 people have been arrested for displaying an image of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein on the side of Windsor Castle. This is the image right here. That is Trump, that is Epstein, that is Donald Trump's signature right down here. This is a famous image that has circulated across the internet for a very long time, but this is displayed on the side of Windsor Castle. 4 people, according to British authorities, have been arrested for this act of protest. Donald Trump is scheduled to be there shortly if he hasn't already arrived. He's there for a state visit, the second state visit for Donald Trump, the first time an American president has received 2 state visits in the United Kingdom. He's expected to meet with the King. Melania Trump is expected to meet with Catherine, the Princess of Wales. And, well, he's being met with protests. Expect more soon. Spread the word. I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along for all the news you need to know about. More to come soon.
4 people were arrested in the UK for projecting an image of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein on the side of Windsor Castle. That's like where the Queen and King live. And they got pissed. Trump is in the UK on an official state visit. So Britain has a law called malicious communication, something we could never have in the U.S., where basically sending messages that are like incredibly disturbing or indecent or something and false or possibly false can get you in prison. Of course, this isn't false. This is an actual picture. It's not indecent. I mean, it's indecent in the sense that Trump even was friends with this guy. That's indecent, but not the fact that he was friends and they're broadcasting it. As you know, Trump has a long history with Epstein. He's now trying to distance himself. Trump claimed he was going to release all the Epstein files when he became president, and then his staff went through the files, found God knows what, and now they won't release it. And Trump claims that the whole Epstein files are a Democratic hoax, and he attacked even the victims the other day who demanded the files be released. So something's going on. They're covering this up, guys, unfortunately, but funny as hell the Brits did this, and absolutely ridiculous they got arrested.
Breaking news. Epstein's connection to Donald Trump, based on the New York Times article, is deeper than we realize. Epstein, who has been known to be affiliated with Donald Trump, attended a party that Donald Trump threw for him, but only for him. That's right, yes, because allegations are coming out that Donald Trump threw a party for him and Epstein, occupied it with a bunch of beautiful women from different pageants as well as from a modeling agency. This party was criticized by one longtime friend, saying that, I thought this was going to be a whole bunch of VIPs. Why is it only just you and Epstein? Which drew some skeptical comments. But one of the attendees has actually come forward, claimed that she was actually approached while working at Mar-a-Lago. She was groomed and subsequently was harmed by Epstein on several occasions. This being said, this ties potentially Epstein to Trump. Actual victims were found at Mar-a-Lago and then brought to Epstein to do whatever his
Donald Trump is in the UK for an unprecedented second state visit. Now, the 2-day trip will mix trade deals, royal pageantry, but also criticism. Now, the U.S. president was met with a huge photo of himself and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein on the lawn outside Windsor Castle. It's where Mr. Trump is spending the night.
All of the events will be kept inside for security reasons and hidden from the public. Those hoping for a glimpse of the U.S. president in Windsor will be disappointed. Donald Trump and the First Lady arriving here by helicopter. That's how tight security is.
This is the second state visit. You know, it's spectacular. It's a shame, really, they're not having a carriage ride through Windsor.
The Stars and Stripes along with the Union Jack may be on display, but not everyone is rolling out the welcome mat.
Oh, this man is endangering human life on this planet. He's got to be told that, and I can't go to America, so he's kindly come here.
Trump will avoid the demonstrations and protests against his visit from the Stop Trump coalition and others, angry over what they call the president's divisive politics.
Yesterday in the UK, protesters got arrested for projecting images of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein onto the face of Windsor Castle while Trump was visiting. Arrested for a fucking light show. They're being accused of malicious communications, which sounds like something out of a James Bond spoof. The group says they've done plenty of these projections before in the past, but they never got arrested for it. This was the first time something like that happened. And why do you think that happened this time? What was so different about this specific situation? Oh, right, Donald Trump was in town. And here's the kicker. That wasn't the only event. Earlier in the day, a different group rolled out a 50-foot flag onto Windsor's lawn to welcome Trump. But the second wave came with the projector, and then the cops came with the cuffs. Let's be real. This wasn't about stopping crime. It was just about stopping the projection. A little political theater, some posturing to make Trump feel important. These folks will probably never even be charged for it. So to the British people, thank you. Thank you for reminding us that even across an ocean, we're connected. Connected in our refusal to let Trump distract us from his relationship with Epstein. Connected in our disgust for these predators. And connected in our demand for justice and closure for the victims who deserve it more than anyone else.
It not only feeds into everything we now know about Epstein, but it makes Donald Trump look complicit.
Well, they were closely involved in each other's lives at a very intimate level. And that's what Donald Trump is running from, running to the extent that almost everything that he does certainly can be read as a effort to distract from this. A life as far from standard middle-class values as you can possibly get. And again, the headline is that Donald Trump participated in that life. Donald Trump was very much involved in the lifestyle which we now associate with Jeffrey Epstein of pursuing women. That is a central quest and a central factor of their lives, of both of their lives.
President Trump just touched down for his second state visit to the United Kingdom, but amidst the fanfare of his pending meetings with the royal family and Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the Jeffrey Epstein scandal is still casting quite a shadow all the way across the Atlantic. CNN anchor and chief White House correspondent Caitlin Collins is on the ground near Windsor Castle. Caitlin, explain the connection here.
Yeah, Jake, and not really just casting a shadow. I should note they're literally casting images of this on Windsor Castle earlier tonight to kind of remind everyone of those ties that you mentioned there with Jeffrey Epstein. This was done. I should note 4 people have actually been arrested as a result of this, and these images that we recorded here showing that alleged birthday letter that was in the Jeffrey Epstein book that was released, pictures of with Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. That's that old footage from Mar-a-Lago. They also are posting images of the president's mugshot. I'm not so sure he would mind that one. They have it hanging inside the halls of the West Wing. But Jake, the one thing that the British Prime Minister and President Trump do have in common is they've now both had to fire senior officials in their orbit as a result of their ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, Trump did so in his first term with his then Labor Secretary Alex Acosta, the one who negotiated that sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein years before he was the Labor Secretary, but something that became a sense of intense scrutiny, obviously, after Jeffrey Epstein's federal charges that he was facing. And most recently, for the British Prime Minister, had to fire his ambassador to the United States, a huge position and certainly a critical one, especially ahead of a state visit over his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, something that was known before he took the job, but became much clearer after a lot of this information became public, including emails and messages between Ambassador Peter Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein. And so obviously that is part of this that is going into this. It's not looming over the entire trip. It's certainly an angle of it, Jake, given obviously it's been a huge interest for the president's base inside the United States and also for lawmakers inside Washington. So it remains to be seen if it comes up. Certainly who they pick as the next ambassador to the United States is a key role, because this is someone who talks to top officials. Peter Mandelson was helping negotiate deals with the Vice President J.D. Vance in the days before his ouster. And so it's a key role here that could get brought up as the president is here now for his second state visit with the UK.
And Caitlin, aside from the Epstein-related discomfort, what do we know about President Trump's existing relationship with the royal family and his relationship with the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer?
Stop scrolling. Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced that she is going to start prosecuting people who make terroristic and use fighting words online or on the media or on social media. And yes, you're right, we do have a right to the First Amendment, but the Supreme Court has been cleared that the First Amendment stops at the use of fighting words or terroristic threats or terroristic statements. So no, statements like that are not protected speech, but they have been allowed to be acted as that or treated as that over like the last 10 years. So let's let AG Pam Bondi know that we stand with her and that we are excited and proud that she is finally stepping up and enforcing the law the way it should be, equally across all aspects, and not allowing the far left and the far right to get away with any more of these terroristic or hateful remarks or comments online or on social media, threatening people on there, threatening people's lives without repercussions or consequences. So please let me know in the poll whether you are happy that Attorney General Pam Bondi is doing this or not. And also, please let's let her know we support her there in the comments, and hit that follow, like, favorite, and share button.